Can you trade coaches in the NHL? It initially sounds like a bit of a silly question, but it happens in other leagues, most notably the NFL, and Toronto Maple Leafs fans may remember that the other team in their city, the Blue Jays, did technically trade John Farrell to the Red Sox, and it makes sense. He's under contract, they want him, so they give up something in compensation. It's not really much different than trading a player, and in Farrell's case, the Blue Jays received 2 players in return. With that being said, maybe you're less surprised now to learn that, yes, several coaches in NHL history have been traded. But is it allowed in the current NHL? Well, that's kind of a complicated question. Coaches' contracts aren't covered by the CBA. The CBA, however, under Section 50.8b2, does explicitly prohibit cash transactions in relation to trading contracts. So you can't take or give a player for cash. However, that doesn't answer the question, and I really wanted to dig into it. The problem is a lot of the NHL's rules aren't actually public. The CBA with the players is public, and obviously the game rules are public, but there's also the NHL Constitution, its bylaws, and other internal rules which we just don't have access to. GMs would. There could be rules governing trades. We don't know. We did actually get a look at some of the NHL's internal documents back in 2009 during a court case. I had to go to the Wayback Machine, and I did actually get access to those bylaws. And while there's some interesting stuff there, there's nothing specifically there about the trading of basically non-player or non-contract assets, which would be coaches and anything else other than money, which is, of course, explicitly prohibited, as I discussed. However, the bylaws do remind us that trades have to be confirmed by central registry, and presumably there are even more rules which we don't know about. Bylaw 12.5 also explicitly says that the commissioner may veto a trade, so there's some extra discretion there. All I'm saying is we see trades happen pretty much the exact same way every time, so I assume there's some rule behind that. If you know, please let me know because I find this very interesting. But I can't find any direct evidence of trading coaches being disallowed in what I've seen so far. Now, while the player NHL CBA is public, the NHLCA, the Coaches Association CBA, is not, but presumably does exist. That very well may have rules and standardized contracts preventing trades, but that's just speculation. When it comes to the NHL, a lot of this is also practical, both in the power of coaches and also the power of contracts. It's not like the good old days of the classic NHL where there were under 20 teams, coaches weren't paid very much and weren't very powerful. Most employment contracts don't simply allow a one-sided assignment of that contract to another party. You do sometimes see coaches request to interview with other teams. And in the past, there was also compensation given in the form of draft picks when a coach from one team signed with another. But either there's some mechanism preventing trades outright, whether it is something the NHL keeps private regarding the nature of trades, something in the coaches' CBA, or the standard contract, who knows, or it's just not smart or practical to do, and teams would rather use just the traditional way of signing coaches' contracts. My belief is, given the complete uniformity we've seen in how trades work, there is some requirement the NHL keeps secret, because why have we never seen an asset other than a player or a draft pick traded? Maybe that can be hidden in future consideration. Who knows? Again, if you do know, please tell me. Anyway, I did manage to find 2 examples of coaches traded, and of course they both involved my New York Rangers. In 1987, the Quebec Nordiques traded Michel Bergeron to the New York Rangers for a draft pick and cash. Again, would this be legal in the current NHL? I don't know, but probably not likely, and I mean, for good reason. The Rangers missed the playoffs in his first year, and he was fired in his second year. On the plus side, just a couple of years later, the Rangers would draft Sergei Zubov. The team would come together in 94, of course. They'd win their cup. Still, I mean, that first-round draft pick they traded away for a coach could have helped. Anyway, the other case I've heard mentioned is Ray Shero, or actually not Ray Shero, his father, Fred Shero. In the late 70s, he was a coach for the Flyers, but he was enticed by the Rangers to resign. He would sign with the Rangers as not just coach, but also general manager, and in return, the Rangers would give the Flyers their first-round draft pick as well as cash. That's actually less of a trade and more similar to what we see in the modern NHL. You don't usually have like this tampering, but coaches will usually be fired or they'll resign, then they'll be picked up by another team. As I mentioned, for a period, the NHL's policy was that execs and coaches who were signed by another team before their initial contract was over would cause compensation to go to the original signing team, but that's no longer the case. The most famous and funniest example of this is the Leafs had to give the Detroit Red Wings a third-round draft pick to sign Mike Babcock, of all people, alongside his $50 million contract. But yeah, that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to do some pretty deep research, but if there's something I missed, I really hope you let me know down below. Until next time, be safe, and I'll see you soon. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, and if you want more content, there's a new basketball, football, and hockey video on screen right now. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.